Course 2 Study Guide number 7, page 1. Emma worked for 7 hours and earned $38.50. How much did she earn per hour? That's her unit rate. And that is her salary or money divided by the time. So that will be my $38.50 divided by the 7 hours. And we'll keep those units in mind. So when we divide 7 into, I'm going to do it over here, into 38.50. 7 will go into 38 5 times. Subtract, we get 3. Bring down our 5. 7 goes into 35 5 times again. Remember our decimals right here. And because I'm doing money, I'm going to go ahead and say 7 into 0 goes 0 times. Now this is dollars, so that's $5.50 per 1 hour, or we can just say per hour. And that's a unit rate. That's how much she makes per each hour. So if she worked for 20 hours, we could go back and multiply the $5.50 times 20 to see how much she made. The ratio of boys to girls in the assembly is 5 to 4. There's more boys than girls. If 80 girls were in the assembly, how many were boys? I'm going to set it up as a table. You can go ahead to straight to your proportion, but I'm going to go ahead and set it up as a table. We're going to look at the ratio, and we're going to look at the actual. I'm going to use A for actual. So they gave it to me, boys to girls, so I'm going to put B and G. And we know the ratio is 5 to 4. Now, actual would be the number of girls here, and how many were boys is our unknown. So we can say 5 over 4 equals x over 20. Now this one, x over 80. This one you can multiply straight across, because you can multiply 4 times 20 to get the 80. That's what I was trying to give you a while ago. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do it as a cross multiplication. And I have 4x is equal to 5 times 80, which is 400, divided by 4, and x will equal to 100, and this would be boys. And then it could ask you how many total people are in the auditorium, which would be, in the assembly, which would be 180 total. Number 3, what is the mean of these 5 numbers? Well, mean is the average. And to find the average, we need to add them up. So I'm going to say average equals 12 plus 13 plus 18 plus 20 plus 22 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So let's go over here and add them. I'll add them 2 at a time. So I've got 12 plus 13, which is 25. Now let's add the 18. 13, 43, plus 20, plus 22. So I got a total of 85. So we've got 85 divided by 5, and 5 goes into 85 one time, 7 times, comes out even, so the average or the mean is 17. We'll section that off so you can see it. Number 4, write this number in scientific notation. Well, first we've got to decide, it's obviously not between 1 and 10. And if I have to put a decimal in it to make it between 1 and 10, it's going to have to go right here. You always want one digit in front of your decimal place. A digit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, not 0. So we've got 7.83. You can put the zeros after it if you want to. Times 10, and then the number up in the air is going to be how many spaces. Remember, when a number doesn't have a decimal, it's always at the end. So let's count how many spaces we moved it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be 10 to the 5th. Number 5. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we have no parentheses, we have no exponents. So we're worried about multiplication division from left to right. So let's do the multiplication. So I've got 3 plus 9 minus, and I'm going to go ahead and do the division 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Now adding and subtracting is from left to right. So I've got 3 plus 9, which is 12, minus 1, which is 11. The equation y equals x plus 1 is a function rule. We've talked about functions. Copy and complete the table. It's just simply a relationship from x to y, and they actually gave us what it was. So if we know the x's, all we have to do is put those numbers in to find out what the y is. So I've got y equals x, which in this case is 0, plus 1, which is 1. So 1 goes right here. When x is 0, y is 1. When x is 1, so let's put a 1 in place for x, and we get 2. And then let's put a 2 in place for the x, and we get 3. And you can see a pattern here. And then if you put a 3 in, you get a 4. So it's just arithmetic with the values. Number 7, dividing decimals. Well, I can't divide by decimal if I don't have a whole number. So this one is my dividend. Let's divide 0. This is my divisor into 4.5. Well, I've got to make this divisor here we go. I got to make that divisor a whole number. And the only way to do that is multiply by 1,000, which moves it 3 spaces. Well, to move this one 3 spaces, I've got to add 2 zeros. And let's go ahead and bring it straight up. 15 into 4 won't go. 15 into 45 goes 3 times. 15 goes into 0 0 times. And 15 goes into 0 0 times. So we get 300. Number 8. Parentheses mean multiplication. So we're just going to use, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and go straight across. So let's take, we'll go over here and do it. Let's take the 0.25, the 2500ths, and multiply by the 8/10. Now I like the one that has the most digits on top. Just that makes the multiplication a little bit easier. So I've got 40. I've got 16 plus 4, which is 20. And then I need 3 decimal places. Over here, so I got 1, 2, 3. 2 tenths. Now I can leave it 200 thousandths, but it's going to be a whole lot easier to multiply the 0.05 times just the 2 tenths. You'll get the same result, just more zeros. 5 times 2 is 10, carry 1. 0 times 2 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And then the rest is going to be zeros. And notice I have to have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So I got 0.01 if I don't put the decimals after, the zeros after the number. Number 9. You're adding mixed numbers that do not have common denominators. Well, if you need a common denominator between 4 and 8, and I'm going to go over here and write it up and down. That's just the way I like to do it. And I'm going to bring my 4 and my 2 over. I need a number that 4 and 8 will both go into. And the smallest would be 8. Well, to get from 4 to 8 on the bottom, I got to multiply by 2. But if I do 2 on the bottom, I got to do 2 on the top. To get 8 to 8, we need to multiply by 1 on the bottom and 1 on the top. And we're adding. So we've got 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 eighths plus 1 8 is 7 eighths, and it's in lowest terms. We didn't have to reduce it. Number 10, order of operation. Now we do have some parentheses, so I've got negative 3 multiplied 3 times the 7 minus 2. Now, in this case, we're going to do, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we need to do the parentheses first. So I've got 100 minus 3 times, this just means times. You can put parentheses or you can put a dot. Oop. Get back on the screen. I'm doing the 7 times 2 first because that's my parentheses. Now we still have some multiplication. So I've got 100 minus 15, which is 85.